Well, here's a topic that I think that'll cause you to stop and think and pray. The power of purpose. And I am really delighted to have with us today Dr. Paul Kreitz. He's an author, a speaker. He was just in the studio a couple of months back when he was out here and speaking at a men's conference in Northern California. And by the way, let me encourage you to jot this down, drpaulkreitz.com. That's his website, and that's drpaulkrites.com. And it's a tremendous resource. He's got a lot of stuff there, and his books are there as well. And let me encourage you to get copies of his books, and especially the one that we'll be talking about today, The Power of Purpose. Hey, Paul, nice to see you, man. You're looking good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Good morning to you, Perry.
Hey, good to see you. And we heard great reviews from the men's conference when you were here. A lot of people enjoyed it. And so I think they're already talking about somehow getting you back out here.
I think they're working on a date right after the first of the year in late January or February, and I'm looking forward to coming back out that way, if not coming out sooner.
Okay, great. Well, Paul, I want to talk to you about a book that you wrote, and of course a topic that you're very passionate about, and that is the power of purpose. You know, I am surprised. We do a lot of shows here. We have a lot of shows that deal with counseling and things like that. And you know what? It really does boil down to people don't know what their purpose is. They really haven't stopped and say, God, what is it you want me to do?
Well, I know that purpose is a very, very powerful tool. It's been talked about. A lot of books have been written. But, you know, the problem is most folks don't understand that your purpose is not your decision. It's your discovery.
Really? So you discover a purpose?
Well, yeah, you were born with a purpose. And, you know, when you were a little boy or a little girl, someone asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you said, you know, a fireman, a TV broadcaster, a policeman, a baker, whatever, and as if it were your decision. But it's not your decision, it's your discovery. God put a purpose and an assignment in your heart and in your life.
All right, let's talk about this discovery. You know, it's ringing a bell because when I was in high school, the only thing I wanted to do was become a large animal veterinarian.
Yeah.
I ended up in Bible college, and now I'm doing Christian media. Now you figure that out.
Well, we don't have enough time this morning.
Well, I discovered, through that, I discovered this is what God wanted me to do.
Right. Well, there are many turns in life, and there are many situations, and there are folks that are listening and watching us today, and they have been through, you know, parts of their life, 20s and 30s, 40s, whatever. But it's a wake-up call in our life. It's usually something that startles us. I've met people that have trained to be lawyers, doctors, only to discover that their happiest moments were not doing what they thought they were prepared to do, but doing something similar to that. Let me give you an example. You know, purpose is a powerful thing. A lot of folks function in their purpose, Perry, but they really don't have the correct focus. For instance, do you remember Jesus when he called the disciples? They had been fishing all night, frustrated all night, and caught nothing. And Jesus did not change their purpose. He just changed their focus. Up until now, you've been fishing for fish. I'm just going to turn your focus, not changing your purpose. I'm changing your focus. You're going to start fishing for men.
Wow. All right, so how do you help people to discover this? I mean, do you do like a self-examination of where you are and what you're feeling and what's going on?
Well, first of all, I get them to buy my book.
Okay, well, let's do that.
They'll go to my website and get my book, chapter number 1. All kidding aside, I came up from doing this for years. I came up with 4 powerful questions.
All right.
Question number 1, what do you love? What do you love? Number 2, what do you hate or angers you? Question number 3, what brings you to tears? What makes you cry? And then question number 4, what annoys you?
Wow.
What irritates you? When you grasp the 4 answers of those questions together, what I love, because what you love reveals a gift that God has placed within you. It may be dormant, as I said earlier, but there is a gift or a love or a desire that God has placed within your heart, and you need to pay attention to that. Number 2, what makes you angry is what you are called to correct. If you remember, someone said, well, Jesus never got angry. Of course he did. The Bible says he stood there and fashioned a whip, which means he took his time making a whip before he tossed the money changers out and said, this is a house of prayer. You're incorrectly using the purpose of my Father's house. And so he straightens out the purpose. What you hate is what you're called to correct. Number three.
Wait, let me stop on that one just for a moment, because boy, that's a biggie. What you hate, you are called to correct in your own life, or in society, or both.
What you observe usually as it relates to society. Looking at situations and you say that's such an injustice. I can't take that anymore. 100 people can walk right by it, but you can't do that. It just angers you too much. You've got to go down and make a correction to this. The country is reeling right now from all the people that turned and looked the other way at a major university here in the United States, of the abuse and the misuse of power and the abuse of power. And no one was willing to correct that. They did not hate what they saw or what they knew. They did not flow correctly in their purpose. Consequently, history now reveals that the majority of those people, if not all of those people, eventually will pay the price for not correcting what they were called to correct.
All right, and part of that, Paul, it's how do we not allow our anger to be the emotion that guides how we're going to correct this? I mean, we can be angry about something, but we don't want to go in there and blow it up. We want to go in there and fix it.
Well, I think that, it just is a signal, just like love is a signal. Number two, anger is a signal. The third gift, and let me just jump there to bring clarity to this. What brings you to tears? What makes you cry?
Wow.
That is what you're called to heal. That's what you're called to heal. What brings you to tears may not bring anyone else to tears. What upsets you may not upset anyone else. What you see on a television story, I've heard countless stories of people watching a news report from Africa or from India, and 1 million people saw that same report, but someone was touched. It brought them to tears, and they went and bought a plane ticket, and they moved there, and it changed their life. What brings you to tears is what you're called to heal. The woman that lost her child to a drunk driver, out of her hurt and pain, created Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. So purpose emerges not only from what we love, what we hate, and what brings us to tears, but finally, number four, what annoys us, what irritates us. And this is interesting. What annoys you or irritates you are the kinds of people and problems that'll be attracted to you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, if you think about it, a person that has a car problem is attracted to a mechanic.
Yeah.
A person with dental problems is attracted to a dentist.
Yeah.
A dentist doesn't walk out into his lobby and say, "What are you people doing here?"
Yeah, right.
And a counselor doesn't get upset because people come and knock on his or her door for counseling. The very thing of an issue that annoys you or irritates you. Now, here's my deal, Perry.
Yeah.
Disorder irritates me.
Oh, really?
Disorder. I love an ordered life. I love an ordered world. So guess who's attracted to me? Yeah, disorderly folks, people that need to put things. So the moment I meet someone, I'm beginning to help put their world into order. It's just a knee-jerk reaction to my life. If you've crossed my path, there must be something that I can do to bring, because order produces increase. Henry Ford knew that when he created the assembly line.
Yeah, right. Boy, that's well said. All right, what happens, Paul, if, first of all, let me just also say to our viewers and listeners here today, Dr. Paul Kreitz is with us, and everything we're talking about, The Power of Purpose, is in a book, and you can go to his website and get that book, drpaulkreitz.com, and it is a tremendous resource. The entire website is, and he's got other books there, but I selected this topic today because a result of so many shows that we do, I think people are just wandering, Paul, they're just kind of wandering around out there. What's my purpose? What am I doing? And this, in some cases, psychologists will tell you this is what happens in a midlife crisis. They just blow out and go in the wrong direction. So if there's some things going on in your life, you may just want to sit down and take inventory. It could be that God is beginning to call you into your full purpose.
Right. Well, and here's the deal. If you don't discover your purpose, you're going to be spending the rest of your life serving someone else's.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's a sobering thought. And then we wonder why people get into their 50s and 60s and they're all grouchy. I'm in my 50s. I'm not grouchy. I'm a very happy person because I'm fulfilling my purpose. I wake up. Your purpose gives you the desire to wake up early. Your purpose keeps you up late. Your purpose is your compass in the time of a storm. When you discover purpose, no matter what's going on around you, no matter what the drama is or whatever, you can fall back into your purpose. You see, there are people that I'm called to help, and there are people that I'm not called to help. It's important to know what my assignment is and what my assignment is not.
So you're talking about boundaries here and limits, and that's probably as important as it is knowing what the purpose is.
Absolutely. It's very, very important for you to know. I have suffered by putting my hand in a place that God never called me to put it there. And I have discovered that I have to walk in the place, and my purpose is to benefit others, not to benefit me. My purpose is strictly to benefit others. And as what I make happen for others, God will make happen for me.
We talked about sometimes ministries get into trouble because they have a purpose and they start adding all these things. And the reason I bring this up, I got my shirt tail jerked pretty hard from the Lord on this very issue. When you were here, you really felt led of the Lord to pray about us getting a building. And we have been in need for one for quite some time. We're almost at a desperate moment. And I was sitting down at my desk one day and I pulled out that file and I was going through there and I made a file on that building, the things that we'd like to have so that we could do more. And as I was going through that list, I realized God did not call me to have a room for this and to have a place to do that and a thing for this. And I started scratching all of those off the list. That our calling and our purpose was media, and that was it. It was a sobering moment in my life.
Wow. Wow. Well, I remember very vividly being there in the studio, praying with you, spending time with you. And, you know, the plan and the purposes of God there is nothing more important. God is a planner. He gave Noah a plan. He gave for an ark. He gave Solomon a plan to build a temple. God is very much into the planning and purposes. He gives us a blueprint. And when we vary from the plan and purposes of God, there was a time I've been in ministry full-time 35 years, and we've traveled internationally, and we've never had debt. I'm here to tell you that God has, we've birthed colleges, universities, training centers, and we've never had any debt in our ministry. But there was one time we almost did. Mm-hmm. And I went to the Lord and he said, listen, this was your idea, not mine. And if it's your idea, you're going to have to pay for it. And so immediately I did what you did. I scratched the plan and said, we're not moving forward. And by the grace of God, we've never experienced that difficulty. And I think that's what we're talking about today in the lives of individuals. That you've got to know God's plan and his purpose for your life, for your children, for your grandchildren. And that's why I wrote the book, Discovering the Power of Purpose.
You write in there that as you go through this process and discovering your purpose, you also discover your enemies. You have a comment on that?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you discover your purpose, you will discover your enemies. I just want to tell you that God gives you enemies or allows enemies in your life so that you can be an overcomer. You'll be known by the enemy you defeat or the enemy that defeats you. Whatever it is in life, you'll be known by the enemy you defeat. I mean, who knew David before Goliath? Let's think about that.
Yeah.
Even though he was anointed, he was just a shepherd boy. And God brought him through the obedience of his father's instructions down to the front line. And in just a few moments, a victory was brought that caused people, now watch this, to start dancing in the streets calling David's name. Now, I'm telling you, God can make your name a household name overnight. God has a plan and a purpose for your life, but you have to understand that on the way to fulfilling your purpose, you're going to have enemies. But enemies aren't a bad thing. Don't pray away your enemies. Enemies are a sign that promotion is on the way. A problem is a sign that promotion. Overcomers are the ones who win.
Boy. Can we do it alone, or we need help to discover
Oh,
our...
no, you've got to have partners in your purpose. The smartest thing any ministry can do today is to enroll partners. Have partners come stand with you. Because first of all, they need you in order to reap the benefit of the seed that they sow, their time, their talent, their treasure, their finance, and you need the partner. You need them to stand with you, whether they're a partner that's physically there or they're standing with you by faith through prayer and finances. We have partners. You know, if the Apostle Paul had more partners, we'd have a bigger Bible.
Wow. 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 In the mentoring of your purpose, did you reach outside? I mean, I know you have partners, but did you have some close confidants that guided you?
Well, I wrote in my book, Discovering the Power of Purpose, Chapter 7, The Miracle of a Mentor. The miracle of a mentor. A mentor knows what you don't know. A mentor has been where you have not been. When you discover your purpose, the next greatest discovery is to discover a mentor. A mentor, someone who can help take you, because there's only two ways, Perry, to learn: mistakes and mentors. I always call it the M&Ms, mistakes and mentors. Every time I see a bag of M&Ms, I always think of mistakes and mentors. And I don't want to keep learning from my mistakes. I've made plenty. You say, what are they? None of your business. But I've made plenty of mistakes. But the truth of the matter is, every success in my life can be traced to having a mentor in my life who was guiding me. The book that we're talking about came from mentorship. The other books that I have came from me studying successful people, mentors who were able to give me their time. I was in a bookstore not long ago with a protege, someone that walks alongside of a mentor. I had a protege, and I went to buy a book, and it was like $36 at Barnes and Nobles. And the protege said, "Are you going to spend that much money on a book?" I said, "Son, if I can get this man's life, all of his life in this book for $36, his 80 years of success, his idea, don't you think that's a bargain?"
Wow.
For only $36, you can be mentored by a book. You can be mentored by a video. You can be mentored over the telephone. I have a mentoring program where I talk to folks every Sunday evening by telephone. And well, of course, if you're on the West Coast, it's Sunday afternoon. But I'm mentoring folks, and mentoring is a success secret to your purpose.
How do you plug faith into this? Because sometimes to move out into your purpose takes a incredible step of faith, to just step away from comfort, step away from security, step away maybe even from family and friends. How do you measure that?
Well, you'll never succeed. I wrote a chapter in the book about your purpose is fueled by your faith, not by your fears. It's fueled by your faith, not by your fears. Fear will get you nowhere, but faith will take you everywhere. You remember Abram in the Bible, God said, "Step out by faith, leave your family." That might be a great word for someone today, you know, that all of your relatives have told you, you can't do this. You can't fulfill this purpose. Right. But Abram got up and left his kindred, and he went to a land he had never seen. And here's the question, Perry. How did he know when he arrived? There were no signs. Yeah. There was no welcoming committee. How did he know when he arrived at the place that God had promised him. Well, the picture on the inside then matched the picture on the outside. How do you know you're fulfilling your purpose? God will give you a picture on the inside, and by faith, you must follow that picture. By faith, you saw your television ministry. By faith, you saw the control booth for the radio. By faith, you saw the equipment. By faith, you saw the people that were going to assist you. How did you know to bring that person on board? You already saw them by your spirit. There was a divine connection. You knew that that was the right thing. Your purpose was fueled by your faith, not by your fears.
All right, Paul, with a few moments we have left, I'm sure a lot of people really have gleaned from this in a big, big way, and you're probably speaking volumes and confirmation to people because so many people, there's an article out or one of those polls out that shows that 68% of Americans are dissatisfied with their career. 68%. Now, you got to assume there's a lot of Christians involved in those numbers. So,
right.
But here we are living in a time where the world is crying for truth and help. It seems like to me, Christians, this is the golden moment for us to get with God's program.
Absolutely. Well, here's the secret I've discovered, Perry. It might sound oversimplistic, but it's really the truth. God never screams. He speaks through a still, small voice. He does not scream. And I want to tell those listening today, watching today, that it's hard to hear a still, small voice with a very loud life. Sometimes you need to get away. Now, when I read the Bible, Jesus, you remember, Perry, Jesus went up into the mountain to get away?
Right.
I mean, he got away from his 12. He got away from the crowds. He got away from the village. Now, let me just submit to you, if Jesus, the Son of God, had to get away, had to come apart from the crowd, to hear the voice of his Father, to have that time, don't you believe that it's time for you to quit living in frustration and fear and get apart? Just shut yourself off, shut some things down, get the voice of God, get some materials, a book that will help you, take the Word of God with you first and foremost, and get into the Word of God and hear the voice of God and begin to write down what God is saying to you. Oh, I don't believe God speaks. Oh, I want you to know that's the problem. God is speaking. We're just not hearing. And the reason we're not hearing today is because we are living a very, very loud life.
Wow, that's profound. Thank you, Paul. And give us quickly some other resources that are on your website. What are the other books you have there?
Well, I have a great book on timing and your destiny, and it's called A Weapon Called Time. A Weapon Called Time. And it's a powerful book. It will talk about your destiny, the weapon of a schedule, the weapon of a daily routine, the weapon of developing a habit. A habit will take you further than desire. Whatever you do twice becomes easier. There's a lot of great teaching about reaching your destiny through a weapon called time. Patience is a weapon that'll cause any deception to reveal itself. A weapon called time. Another great book on the site is 21 Things Every Leader Needs to Know. I've been in leadership training through our college, New Covenant University. I have been speaking for 35 years. I travel and speak to churches and businesses and all over the country about 200 times a year.
Wow.
And one of the great needs today is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership's the answer. Leadership's the problem. And if they'll go to the website, drpaulkreitz.com, PAULCRITES.com, we will pay the shipping and the handling. You just purchase the material, and we'll pay the shipping and handling to get it to you.
Paul, thank you. We're out of time. We had your website up there while you were speaking. God bless you, friend. We'll get you back, and thank you for your encouragement today.
Thank you, Perry. Thanks so much.